sharing with you in this video how to let go of negativity when creating your dreams and goals. And so the first thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of how to actually do this is to remember your emotional guidance system. So I think that it's easy, so to speak, although in the long run it's going to be very hard to sort of believe in any idea that maybe you heard somewhere out there or whatever the case may be that genuinely doesn't feel correct to you, doesn't feel right to you. And so although it might sound cliche, it might sound sort of airy-fairy or new agey, at the end of the day though, I think that we have to remember that if you're going to live life genuinely on a consistent basis, stabbing yourself in the back and somehow justifying that there's always a reason why you have to do that, what you're doing is you're literally going against the one thing that is true to you on a moment-to-moment basis, which is that I can understand going into discomfort, but going into an unnecessary amount of pain, if you're doing this on a consistent basis, we're going against what is true to us in that moment. And that is unacceptable. So what we have to begin to do is begin to trust, in my personal opinion, in what we call the emotional guidance system, which is really ultimately a fancy way of going back to common sense. So even going to something as simple as burning your hand on the stove. So you know not to put your hand on a hot stove. Why? Because you have enough wisdom and you have enough awareness and you have a knowing that if you do that, you're going to get hurt. So you would, in similar ways, in other areas of your life, maybe when it comes to creating your business, maybe when it comes to the way that you do things with how you talk to people, you just know that being a certain way, thinking certain thoughts, doing certain things makes you feel not good for you specifically. Maybe it's different for other people. There's no reason to, project how somebody else should feel or what they should be doing. But you know for yourself that if you act a certain way, if you talk to people in a certain manner, if you are a certain way in life, that it goes against how you truly want to feel in your life. And so when you do this over and over and over, and you consistently again and again and again go against this sort of intuition that we all have, this common sense, you could call it, that maybe isn't so common anymore, this natural feeling of what to do next, how to do it, and the way that you should be doing it specifically, and it's a knowing in that moment how you should be doing it. When you go against that on a consistent basis, you're going to be inviting lots of negativity in your life, which is going to lower the amount of creative power that you have to create things, again, in a very natural way that doesn't feel draining to you or feels like you're giving too much and not getting enough back. And then so the second thing that I want to sort of highlight in this video and just sort of make very clear is that wisdom, ultimately speaking, comes from pain. So we need to keep in mind that when you look at somebody that's very wise or that has, very calm demeanor perhaps, and you think like, oh, this person has so much wisdom, you need to remember at the end of the day, again, the only reason that they've even gotten to that point and that you can have such a perspective on them is because they've been through a lot of pain. Now, whether they put themselves through that pain on purpose or not on purpose, like whatever the case may be, that pain had to be experienced nonetheless. So when you go through enough pain, when you go through enough resistance, what you sort of learn is what to do and what not to do. And I think that it's important to respect and to honor the things that you've learned that do not simply work. And it's not to be closed-minded and to believe that you can't be open to perspectives and that maybe there's another way of doing things that are not going to make it so that that pain has to be recreated. It's not about recreating the same pain. It's quite the opposite. What I'm saying is that if you know that doing a certain thing creates a certain level of pain and suffering, why do it over and over and over? And then again, I believe that oftentimes, going back to the first point, when we go against what I believe to be our emotional guidance system, that is what recreates a lot of the negativity that we don't even want to be experiencing in our life. And then so lastly, the final thing that I want to share with you in this video is just a reminder as well that negativity is not always a choice, but giving it energy is. It actually is a choice. So if you have negativity pop up in your life and you have negative thoughts and maybe you're hyper aware of something, you're overthinking about something, that maybe is not necessarily your fault that you're feeling that, but then giving it energy and then giving it attention absolutely is your choice. That's something that you can control. That's something that you don't need to be giving more energy than necessary. Because again, if it's popping into your mind, that's one thing, but then to feed it more attention, to feed it more energy is. And so remember, attention and energy are synonymous terms. So by giving it attention, you're giving it energy. And I know that it's possibly sometimes hard to not give it attention when, again, it keeps coming over and over and over if you have negative thought. But the key is to try your best to not get sort of pulled into the storm and then just let it pass by as much as possible. And then to see that once again, maybe it's not a choice to experience it, but it's definitely a choice to feed into it. It's definitely a choice to add more fuel to the fire, so to speak. And then oftentimes we do this and we don't even realize that we do this until we're way too far in it, and then we're sort of hypnotized by a negative thought pattern or a negative situation or whatever the case may be. But that's the muscle that we sort of want to build, is to have that awareness to just not get lost in something so easily, not get pulled into it so easily, and then to be able to sort of maintain that awareness where you can feel something negative and you can maintain and stay centered to who you truly are. And then on the flip side, you can feel positivity, and then you can also maintain centered in that space of who you truly are as well. So whether you feel something positive or negative, you're able to maintain your centeredness. And that's a powerful place to be, where you realize that the same way that you let go of positivity is actually the same way that you let go of negativity, which is simply to maintain yourself as that, again, centered awareness that is, regardless of the positives or negatives that are actually happening in the present moment.